March on that pre-roll there, Jerry. He's going to get a little help coming his way if anything holds to form. Cam Coleman, number one player in the portal, has committed to the University of Texas. Running back Hollywood Smothers from NC State has committed and signed with the University of Texas as well. This is On Texas Football, your Sunday night live stream. Rod Babers will be joining myself, Bobby Burton, and Jerry Hamilton momentarily. This episode brought to you by Rogue Shop. We'll tell you a little bit more about them in a minute. Also, guys, we've got other news that is coming out today. Trevor Goosby, the first-team All-SEC offensive tackle, will be joining the show tonight at 7:30. He announced his return earlier today to the University of Texas for an additional year. We'll talk to Trevor about his decision about this and what's going on with him. And then also Connor Robertson, another offensive lineman, also confirmed his return to Texas. That now makes 3 starters set to return on the offensive line for Texas next year, not just Trevor Goosby and Connor Robertson, but also Brandon Baker, the right tackle, also set to return too. Jerry, a big day on the 40, no doubt. Probably the biggest of the off season, I would say, with Coleman committing, Smothers committing, Goosby announced he's back. Other guys that were Longhorns have now found homes as well. Your thoughts on the goings-on today, January 11th, 2026.
I want to change it to a 24-hour period and include Rasheem Biles in there, if I can.
Okay, go for it.
We're on system overload because I think Rasheem Biles is just as big as Cam Coleman for Texas potentially. I mean, look, there's may not be a better returning linebacker in college football than Rasheem Biles, certainly not as a playmaker. So it's been a huge 24-hour period for the Longhorns, and that's not leaving Justin Crow. He was in the morning, so we're in that 24-hour window now. He was in Friday morning. But, yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, look, Smothers to go with Raleek Brown. I think that's a good combination at running back. Derek Cooper, I think, has a good chance to be a big downhill back, inside zone runner. We'll see James Simon, Michael Terry. Of course, looks like Christian Clark is expected out, but we'll wait on that. But that's what it's expected. But look, I think Cam Coleman makes Arch better. Arch also will make Cam Coleman better because he's been waiting on passes for Jackson Arnold for a few months. Gets well behind the defender, has to wait on the football. He will make Arch better. Arch will make him better. The players around Cam Coleman in the system will make Cam better, and he will make Wingo, and he'll make Emmett Mosley better. That's the way this is all supposed to work when you start putting talent together on a roster and at positions like this, is they can all make each other better. Trevor Goosby's return at left tackle makes Arch Manning that much more comfortable knowing his backside protector is there. Oh, and by the way, with Cam Coleman being able to stretch a defense, safety help over the top, that helps the offensive line. I mean, the defensive coordinators will have to make a decision on how many guys you commit to the box and what that is going to look like on a consistent basis. So it's been a really good – Connor Robertson has some experience at center. It's been a really good 24-hour period for the Texas offense and the Texas program in general, because I'm going to keep saying I think Rasheem Biles is not talked about enough for how good he actually is.
All right, I mentioned at 7:30 we're going to have Trevor Goosby join us. We're also going to be taking your questions. I have some updates on both Christian Clark and Zina Umozulu, as well as a couple other players that the Longhorns are attempting to keep, including Ryan Wingo. We'll talk about all of that and more in this episode. But first, I want to say thank you again to Rogue Shop. Rogue Shop is bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Make sure you use promo code ONTEXAS for a special discount. That's promo code ONTEXAS for a special discount. The Rogue Shop has it all, from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. Again, that's rogueshop.com. They ship nationwide. Use code ONTEXAS for a special discount. Thank you to them for sponsoring the Sunday night live stream, now going on a year plus. We appreciate Rick and those guys at rogueshop.com. Hey, Jerry, I mentioned a couple of those guys expected to return and or leave. We talked about the returnees with Goosby and Connor Robertson. Christian Clark is expected to enter his name into the portal. Yeah. I want to explain something to folks. A lot of people were asking me Friday, well, Christian Clark says he's returning. Why aren't you saying he's returning? And this is one of the reasons why. So we try not to put the cart before the horse here. And that's what I was doing, because I knew that while Christian Clark and Texas were trying to get back together, they weren't necessarily consummating the marriage at this point. And now, 48 hours later, this is why we held off on reporting that story. So I hope everybody understands that. Zena Umeozulu, we reported late last week, Thursday or Friday morning, I can't remember which. He had initially said he was going to go into the portal. We've reported since that he and Texas had agreed to terms. To my knowledge, has still not signed to return yet. And so I'm waiting until that happens, because we've already reported that he and Texas have come to terms. Until that happens, you never know this day and age, although it's certainly a good number. Also, on Ryan Wingo, the wide receiver, and Texas, they are quickly trying to wrap this up with him. I want to actually give a hat tip to Ryan. He was part of the consortium that helped recruit Cam Coleman to Texas. And look, the dads have already reached out to one another behind the scenes and talked to one another. So good stuff that is going to be occurring right now. And we will see what happens from here with Ryan Wingo, but I think that's going to be a good sign. Also, as it relates to the portal overall, Texas is waiting on Wendell Gregory, the Big 12 freshman newcomer of the year on defense. Last year, 4 sacks for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He's visited Wisconsin and Texas Tech. He's expected to make an announcement any day now, whether it could be even tonight or tomorrow. But Texas going after Wendell Gregory as well. Mikey Bennett's another name to remember, the offensive lineman from Yale that visited Texas over the weekend. He then took an immediate visit to Indiana this weekend, Texas, Indiana, and Oregon for the 2-time Ivy League All-American. All right, Jerry, we did not.
And we need them. Kedu Luave still on the table, potentially.
Yes.
Texas visited Michigan over the weekend. All ACC first-team linebacker, still on the table for Texas as well.
Absolutely. There are still needs, too, for Texas. Yeah. As we look in this at the portal right now, there's no doubt about it. Texas has a number of needs, including interior offensive line. We'll talk a little bit more about that and take your questions. A lot of things going on right now for Texas and this portal window. I really think that, though, today was kind of the coup de grace, Jerry, with the pledge of Cam Coleman, big name player, big time player. Any way you shake it, he's going to number 1 ranked player in the portal, according to some.
Yeah, not that plays quarterback, yes, obviously. Yeah, I mean, look, he's a 50-50 ball winner, guy that I think is going to command safety help. His final year in college football, 3rd year in the SEC. With the talent Texas has around them, it will force defensive coordinators to make some very interesting decisions on how much do you load the box, how often can you bring that extra defender closer to the box when you have Cam Coleman. You have the threat of Ryan Wingo in the screen game. You have Raleek Brown. You have a little bit more shifty playmaker at running back, which you can get involved in the passing game. So the past 24, this from Friday to today, these are some huge additions to the Texas Longhorns. And I think, by the way, I think there's a pretty big addition that's staying with the Longhorns that we need to talk to right about now.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring him in. Trevor Goosby, welcome in, bud.
How we doing, guys? How we doing?
Good. Welcome and welcome back to the University of Texas. Rod Baber is going to join us now as well. Trevor, you announced just a few moments ago, I guess a couple of hours ago, that you're returning to the University of Texas. First-team All-SEC performer a year ago. Why did you decide to return to Texas over taking your exploits onto the NFL draft early?
For me, it was just kind of a decision that we made as a group, my family and I, my agency. For me, I just feel like I can just continue to, get better and continue to develop under Coach Flood and under Coach Sark. And, I also feel like we have the opportunity and the chance to win the national championship this year. And, I want to be a big part of that. So,
Hey Trevor, before we get back to your decision around Texas, I want you to take people through what was your height and weight your spring of junior year when we saw you at the Under Armour camp in March, and talk about the process when you entered college in your mind to get to where you ultimately want to be and where you're at in that process.
So I was probably about 6'4", 6'5", 270 pounds. I was really light coming in. You know, obviously that's not SEC offensive tackle weight. But kind of just my mindset throughout the whole process was just to keep working. And obviously I came in under a guy named Kelvin Banks, who was a first-round pick, an individual first-round pick. And, you know, I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from just the guys that, you know, were older than me, Jake Majors, Hayden Connor, you know. I learned a lot from DJ. I learned a lot from Cam Williams, you know, Cole Hudson, those guys. So I kind of followed their lead and just kind of did what they did. And, you know, I always stayed hungry no matter what. So.
Hey, Trevor, can I ask you, I know you used to hoop back in the day, consider yourself a hooper at heart. And obviously you got that in the bloodlines too. Where would you rank among the best hoopers on the team right now? What do you rank yourself?
I hope you don't play anymore, by the way.
I'm just asking, you know what I mean? Where you at? Wait. I know you every now and then y'all probably get after it over there at the gym or something. Like, where you at among the team hoopers?
I got to be number one now. There's no doubt. I got to be number one. I can't shortchange myself. I got to say I'm number one.
Like, all right, then who's number two then? If you number one, who's number two?
Ooh, Lonnie's up there. Jelani's up there for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if the new guys can hoop, so we're going to have to see if they can hoop.
All right.
Jermaine Bishop. Arch is a good hooper. You know,
what?
It's been said. He's a good hooper. You know, he's an athlete. We've seen him run. He's a good hooper, though. That's what I've heard.
I will tell you, hey, Trevor, if Jermaine Bishop's in the gym, let him run point on the team. But more importantly, please wear ankle braces.
For me, I'll do a lot of coaching on the sideline. I will not.
Thank you.
There you go. That's right. There you go. We like that. I feel good about that.
That's too much to lose. You know, the 270-pound Trevor Goosby is no more. So
yeah. What's your height and weight up to, Trevor?
I'm about 6'8", 320 around there.
Oh my goodness! What has been the secret to your success? Is it just consistency? Because I talked to some people that said you've been a highly consistent guy since the day you stepped on campus.
I think definitely consistency for sure. And then just consistency within, you know, bringing that energy every day and just bringing it and just, you know, even when it seems shaky and when it seems like, you know, it doesn't look good for you, always just working hard and coming with that attitude every day. That's what kind of separated me from the rest. That as well as, you know, my genetics also helped a lot, you know, crazy being a late bloomer. So that definitely helped. But that and then just also being disciplined, just, you know, being really detail oriented. Because, you know, like playing in the first game I ever started in was the A&M game. I call that my first start. But also for me, like what I learned from that game is, you know, preparing as if I am the starter, even when I'm not the starter. That was kind of the thing of always being prepared and just always being ready, because at any given moment your number can get called. So
yeah, you were actually introduced to Texas fans during that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You come in after Kelvin Banks, who had a really healthy career at the University of Texas before being a first-round pick. You get introduced at the first quarter. Kelvin Banks goes down, and we're like, oh boy, what's going to happen? You come in there and you play left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
The very next game, or 2 games later, you're playing right tackle for Cam Williams against Clemson when he goes down with an injury. What's it like being the backup on both sides? Because I think that was one of the more rare feats of an offensive lineman for Texas in recent history.
Definitely was nervous. Just you know, having to play both left and right. You know, it's once you get it down, it's fairly, you know, I wouldn't say easy, but it's doable. For me, when I first started doing it, it was tough. I always tell people it's like shooting a basketball with your left hand. Like, you know how to do it, you just can't get the mechanics down. You can't, like, it's hard to flip.
No.
And going into like the Arizona State game, the first game I had to start at right tackle, I was a little nervous. Just, you know, can I really do this? Can I really do it at right tackle? You know, I hadn't been playing right tackle that long, and, you know, I got in the game and, you know, got comfortable, and the rest is history. So.
Hey, we got a question from the chat. I want the chat. You guys send in a couple of questions. We'll try to get a couple of questions here. Todd Lacey asked this, and I'm going to add something to it. Trevor, what's the ideal weight you want to play at when you're a year older and 26 and headed to the NFL? And also, what areas do you feel like you need to improve most in this final season at Texas?
So I would say for my ideal weight, probably like 320, 325, but it's more of a body recomp, if you will, like getting my body fat down. And, I want to be like 325, but ripped, not fat. And I would say the biggest things I have to work on definitely is lower body strength, being able to just bend better and, anchor down bull rushes more. That, and then also just, consistency in my footwork. Because, I'm a great athlete, and, that's one of my, redeeming qualities. But once I can consistently get my footwork down and add that to my athleticism, it'll really pay off for me. So,
all right, Trevor, who's the you played against some really good pass rushers, obviously, and stonewalled some really good pass rushers in the SEC. Who do you give props to? Who's somebody you faced that you thought legitimately gained a lot of respect in your mind?
Ooh, definitely Michael Williams. That was probably one of my toughest in the SEC championship. Obviously, Michael Williams, Jalen Walker. I've gone against a lot of good pass rushers. TJ Parker was really good at Clemson. Peter Woods was tough. Peter Woods was super strong. Cassius Howell was really fast. That was a guy that I felt like I was playing basketball the whole game. He was quick off the edge. He was fast. He gained my respect for sure. Quincy Rhodes from Arkansas, he's really good as well. He's kind of a longer guy, but he's really twitchy. So he definitely gained my respect. A couple more guys. So our Mason Thomas as well from Oklahoma.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Hey, Trevor, speaking of basketball, we got to ask this question. How much will it mean to you to have you and Austin on campus as Texas athletes together next year?
That would be awesome. Just, having family there. For me, family means everything. So having, a brother that plays, at the same university as me, it means the world to me. Just that brotherly connection, me going to watch his games and him coming to watch my games, it'll be awesome.
Hey, Trevor, the thought process here for you going down and coming down to going pro or coming back to Texas, obviously these days NIL alleviates some of the financial burden that you might put yourself through if you were to not go to the NFL draft, right? So it's not the black and white decision it once was, where you stay, you're not getting any money. You know what I mean? You go pro, that's where all the money is. Did that help you return to Texas in the way that part of the equation wasn't weighing on your mind as much, going from, I'm not asking you how much you're making in NIL at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm asking, did the threat of that there being no money whatsoever allow you to come back to Texas this year, in your opinion?
I think it definitely helped it. Definitely more of a bonus than anything. Like for me, I've always been a guy that's been about development, just wanting to get better. And I've always been a guy where time has been my friend throughout the whole process. And that's kind of what drove me to come back to Texas, is just wanting to get better and, developing my body and having another year with Coach Becton and the staff and Coach Flood. That was the biggest reason. But obviously NIL, it definitely helps the decision. Like you said, it alleviates some financial issues, if you will.
Yeah.
But, it definitely helps. But that wasn't the biggest factor for me.
Hey, Trevor, I figure like you've had a really cool advantage in cultivating your craft to become, an elite left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You've had the opportunity to go against, in practice, some of the best edge defenders in college football. Colin Simmons being one of them. How often do you get to go one-on-one with that dude, whether it be team, whether it be one-on-ones? Like, how often do you make it a priority? Like, no, I want to go against this dude because I know he's going to be a top pick. I need to make sure that I'm on his level, or at least if I can stonewall that dude, then I can beat anybody else. No matter who it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely always looking to get reps against, guys like Colin and them. And, it's the same. It's both ways, iron and sharpening iron. And we're just preparing each other for the tackles and the edges that we see, on the weekends. And that's kind of been huge for me this year through my development, and just going against him and going against guys like Zena and, Lance Jackson, Colton Vosek, all those guys. It really helps me just during the game. It makes the game so much easier for me.
Hey, we got a question from the chat that's actually very interesting. I'm interested to see what you say to this.
Mm-hmm.
Troutlaw 983. What's the diet like for an offensive lineman? And does Tori Beckton and nutritionist have you on a different diet than you prefer?
So right now I'm not really on like a huge, like, I guess, strict diet. Like, oh, you got to eat this, you got to eat this, you got to eat this amount of calories. But when I was putting on weight, I think my diet consisted of like 6,500 calories a day. It was a lot.
It's crazy.
That's a lot when you're
I
not a
ate
swimmer.
for a while. I can't lie. It was tough.
Does it? Hold on. When they say 6,500 calories, do you get to pick whatever you want to eat for those calories, or do they have specific items that you have to consume to get that 6,500? Or you can
usually it's like
barbecue the whole time?
I wish, man. I wish. That would have been nice. I go over the style switch, give me 6,500 calories worth of barbecue, man. Yeah, that would have been easy. But usually they'll give me like an array of options, and I get to choose from those options. And
yeah,
I'm not a picky guy, so it wasn't that hard to choose something. It was just hard to get it down, you know. So
all right, we got one more. We got another question for you before we let you go. Trevor, would you eat a corn dog with mayo?
Don't do it.
Corn dog with mayo.
Don't do it.
I can't, man.
Yeah.
I'm more of a ketchup guy when it comes to corn dogs, but it's got to be a Fletcher's corn dog from the State Fair.
There you go.
Gotta be.
Jeff C also says thanks for staying another year. Let's finish it up here. Anybody have a final question for Trevor before we let him go? Go for it, Jerry.
What did you see improvement? What was that like being a part of it? And what did you see as the biggest improvement that Arch made over the season, getting comfortable as a first-year starter?
That's good.
I think just the resiliency. I think that really came to play throughout the second half of the season, really throughout the whole season. Because if you go back to Florida game, I mean, we did not play well. Obviously, the O-line played horrible. And he was just getting hit left and right. You know, I think he was sacked 6 times. But, you know, he came back that next week when we had OU, and he didn't miss a rep of practice. And that to me, you know, that kind of just solidified my desire to put my life on the line for him every down in every game. So that, and then also just, obviously, we saw in the Michigan game, you know, the kind of I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just going to go over and take over. And that was just good to see for him, just putting on the Superman cape and doing everything that he could. And I just can't wait to see Arch's progression as he continues throughout his career. You know, it'll be amazing to see, especially next year.
We can't wait to see your progression, too, in a Longhorn uniform, Trevor.
I appreciate
it. Thank you so much. I know you're busy. Congratulations on a huge day for you and your family. And we'll look forward to you this spring ball. You take care of yourself, Trevor, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, hook the horns, buddy.
Yes, sir. Hook 'em.
There we go. Good stuff. All right, good stuff. Trevor Goosby, quick interview there. Rod Babers, you got in just in time.
Wow, that was perfect.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you today. I talked to Jerry a little bit, talked to Matt behind the scenes, but you were manning the live stream this afternoon when everything was happening. What did you think about today, Rod?
Well, shout out to you. I give props to Bobby. You the one that held true to the all in, even when everybody doubted the all in for the first 5 days. Like, I don't know about this all in. Bobby said there's gonna be all in. Well, I think we got confirmation that you were right about the all in philosophy. Yeah, I mean they went big game hunting, and I think that's what happens when you go big game hunting in a transfer portal. This was kind of a relatively new strategy for Texas because I think it's new for everybody considering the way everything's changing. And I think they took some L's early on, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's just the reality of the circumstance and the situation you're in. But they stayed steadfast to their strategy, big game hunting. If they didn't get Cam Coleman, I'd hate to think where Longhorn fans' mindset would be right now. But that don't matter. That don't matter because you got the guy, all right? And yes, there's still O-line issues that need to be addressed. Couple of spots on defense, maybe secondary, maybe a linebacker. Maybe you can get another edge rusher, depending on what the value is there. But there is no doubt when you get a player of this ilk like Cam Coleman, and like I said, I don't know what they paid for Cam Coleman, but in terms of the value you get for him, he does change the dynamic and he changes the math on offense for you. Because you can't just go 1-for-1 with that guy. You can't. So, and with 11 guys on defense, you can only allocate resources to take away certain assets on offense, right? You can roll coverage or try to double team Cam Coleman. but then you're not going to be able to vote 8 and stack in the box. So that means Texas is going to get light numbers in the box. Well, you can try to stack the box against Texas with Malik Brown and Hollywood Smothers. Well, that means you're going to get one-on-ones on the outside with Cam Coleman and or Ryan Wingo or Emmitt Mosley on the other side. So essentially, you're building a pick your poison type of an offense where the defense they can't take away everything that you present offensively on any given down. They got to pick what they got to take away. Maybe they'll be right on that down. Maybe if they take away Cam Coleman, that'll be the down you pick to try to scheme Cam Coleman open. Maybe that down they want to devote to try to take away the run, but they can't take away everything. And if you pick correctly, all right, you will be able to have the advantage on most defenses in college football, because if Ryan Wingo and Emmitt Mosley are your second and third wide receivers, most teams' second and third best DBs, that's going to be a matchup advantage for Texas. So I just think for Sark, he wants to get back to having an explosive, dynamic offense. And now you're looking at, for the first time maybe in the history of the program in the modern era, having 3 first-round draft picks in that 2027 draft from a Texas offense.
Oh, just the offense.
Okay. Yeah,
from the offense. I know, overall, from the offense. And we talked about it, Jerry. Texas had a lot of great offenses. I don't know if they've had that kind of high caliber talent all maturing at the same time on an offense, right? Sometimes you've had like 2022, you had a Kelvin Banks and a Bijan and a Xavier Worthy, but they are all kind of on different timelines and where they were, their maturation process, right? You might have had some in 2002 or 2001 or something like that with a Seth Benson or Mike Williams, that kind of stuff, Roy Williams, but different maturity, right? Different levels and rates of maturity there. Now you got Cam Coleman, Arch, and Trevor Goosby, we just had, and all of them were maturing at the same time. They're all predicted to hit their peak this year, and they're all supposed to be top 20, top 25 picks in the first round. Texas hadn't had that. So the only thing that can limit this potential, in my opinion, for Sark is the O-line. Got to zero in on getting the right guys in the interior O-line. The only thing that can really limit this offense right now is pass protection issues, or not getting enough surge in the run game. And I think this is now why Texas, for the next, I don't know how many days that exists for them in the portal, they really can zero in the O-line, because that's the only need they have. Everything else is a want. Everything else is a luxury. Linebacker, secondary, wide receiver, running back. Those are all luxury items. O-line is the last thing you need in the portal, and you can put all your efforts and resources into it.
Good stuff, Rod. You mentioned those 3 first-round draft picks on offense. Don't forget about Colin Simmons and perhaps Jelani McDonald on defense. My question on Twitter today that I posed was, how many first-round draft picks does Texas have in 2027 in that draft? 4 or 5? Because I think 4 are basically close to a lot.
I wouldn't count out Rasheem Biles. I know people can say what they want about him being 6'1.5", 220.
Really? Ooh.
Hey, look, here's why I say that. The game is changing. Jamie Sherwood at 6'2", 215 has 154 tackles in the NFL this year. And he was a 3rd, 3.5, 4th rounder. I think he went early 4th. Biles is a better player than he was in college. And so there's 220-pound linebackers that are very productive in the NFL now. The game's changing a little bit.
Totally agree with that. I think Jerry's right about that. You can go the undersized linebacker being at a huge disadvantage in the league is not the case. Mike Tomlin always said, look like what you hunt. So they don't mind linebackers who, as long as you have a physical disposition, they don't mind you being a little undersized, because actually it may help you in a pass first league they're in. Yeah. And to that point, Jerry, I agree with you about Biles. The only thing holding him back, he's kind of like Jelani McDonald to me. I think both those guys are very similar in that they have really a lot of range athletically. And I think in a must-champ defense, he's going to showcase that, but they're at non-premium positions.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. So you got to show. So if Jelani McDonald's going to be a back of the first round kind of guy, you got to show off his blitzing ability, him to be a center fielder, show off his ability to be a run stopper at the second level, his playmaking, ball hawking ability. He's got to have like 5-6 interceptions. That guy, like, you show off all of that, and he's a Thor Award finalist. Okay, I can see the NFL going, you know what? Look at his elite frame. I'll take that guy at the back of the first round, even a Biles, but they're not at premium positions, and that's what's going to hurt him, I think, Jerry, ultimately. But I agree with what you're saying,
especially in this draft. Because, I mean, Stewart, Johannes Pierre, Jeremiah Smith. I mean, this draft has dudes all Quincy Rhodes from Arkansas, potentially right there. Leonard Moore, the corner from Notre Dame.
Loaded.
Defensive end for Utah that's now at Michigan, John Henry Daly. Xavier Brown, the corner at Alabama, is very good. I mean, there's a ton of talent in this draft. I mean, ton of
in the
talent.
2027 draft.
Yes.
Yeah,
in the 27 draft. It's a loaded draft, guys. It's going to be hard. If you're a first rounder in this draft coming up in 27, you're an absolute dude. I'll say that.
Agreed.
All right, let's move forward and take some questions. We're about been doing this about 30 minutes today so far. It's time to get you all's questions. Let's start with Sailor Joe with Brown and Smothers now in. It's going to be tough to keep Clark if he's not already in the transfer portal. Some people are saying that he's been entered or whatever. I don't know if his name is actually populated into the portal. He is expected to go into the portal, so I'll give that much. This may have to be part of the balancing act that we get used to. I concur with this. This is my question, though, to you two. With Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, is Texas better off today than with Trey Wisner and Christian Clark had they returned?
Well, they would add another one.
Brown and Smothers better than Wisner and Clark.
Yes.
That's hard to answer because they would have added a back anyways.
Yeah, but I'm asking those two.
Yes.
Two for two.
Yes.
No. Why is that, Rod? Why do you say
more explosive? A more explosive backfield. Period. Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers, no matter which way you're kind of looking at it, I feel like if it's with Trey Wisner and Smothers, it's a bit of a push in terms of how explosive they are. But there's no doubt Raleek Brown's a more explosive back than Trey Wisner. I also think he does better at forcing missed tackles. The numbers would back that up too at the second level. So I do think Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers would be a better combination than a Christian Clark and a Trey Wisner. No question. And both of them are really good in the receiving game. Both of those guys are top 20, like a top 22 in targets. Christian Clark, I'm not saying he's a bad receiver out of the backfield, but Raleek Brown and both Hollywood Smothers are plus players in the receiving game for you. So I would say yes, an upgrade. To me, it's going to be Trey Wisner, Jaden Blue. That's what you're going to do. Look at 2024 Texas backfield. And I think you got a lot of similarities with Raleek Brown and with Hollywood Smothers and how Sark is going to use both of those guys.
And hopefully a guy like Derek Cooper gets to play some bigger back as well as Michael Terry. We see how that rolls. I would say this as well, Rod and Jerry. It's very interesting to watch this transpire because you're sitting back looking at this. And I was looking up all conference teams today. I was doing it for the ACC because Texas is kind of pilfering the ACC with Biles and Smothers. But, Texas has 2 first-string all Big 12 and all ACC running backs, and Brown and Smothers. That's pretty strong to go along with what else, adding Cam Coleman this week as well, and hopefully keeping Ryan Wingo. Emmett Mosley's already going to be back as well. William Niche with Coleman, Brown, Hollywood, Biles, and company. Is the 26th season going to be fun or what? We talked about the offensive prowess this team could have, but they've done some work on defense as well. I think filling Biles with that linebacker role, as well as adding Ian Gifford up front. Jerry, what do you think of the defense in 2026 overall right now? Are there pieces that are missing?
Yes. I still think they need one more linebacker because, look, there's injuries are going to happen. None of this is a given. Texas is susceptible right now to an injury bug at linebacker and how that could derail your season in Will Muschamp's scheme. So I do think there's still a need at linebacker. Obviously, I think Wendell Gregory at edge, if you could go get him, that gives you another pass rusher. And he's a multi-year guy, too, by the way, which is something that I think is underrated. They can't all be one-year players. Then it's just the same thing over and over again. And you need some 2-year players there. But I think linebacker is a big one for me. I still think they need another linebacker because I think Justin Cryer is an A-gap, B-gap run thumper. That's his role for Will Muschamp. That will be his role. I think Biles could be an All-American, All-SEC All-American player. I think Anthony Smith's going to have a tremendous season as well. Brad Spence right now probably having to play more off-ball linebacker. If you add another really good linebacker, he could be an overhang. So there's still some position flex and some things I think Muschamp's going to look at. I think Bo Masco isn't not talked about enough, but big addition to this team. He's a honorable mention all Big Ten player, started 2 years at Rutgers. Ohio State wanted him. He's a physical guy. He has SEC physicality at corner. Cade Phillips in the year 2. So Grayson Littleton returning at nickel. But I think linebacker, there's still a couple of thin positions on this roster, and on Muschamp's defense, it's linebacker right now.
Jerry, I'm going to stick with you for this one. Juan Gar says, when will the high be announced? Also, did you all know Cam Coleman to Texas was going to happen before he announced a pretty quick decision? I think he knew where he was going. Jerry, I'm not familiar whether you said there's a high out there or not. Is that something different? Or
no? There's one out there. We'll see when that happens. On Cam Coleman, the interesting thing was with Cam, obviously what we learned was it was actually Texas Tech that finished second. Mm-hmm. So if anybody on A&M fans are saying, hey, we were second, no, you weren't.
Yeah. The yard was Bama, by the way.
A&M was fourth. Alabama was third.
Yeah. That just hurt their feelings, Jerry. Jeez.
I do believe his highest NIL bid was Texas Tech.
I believe that.
Texas AD, I apologize for my outbursts earlier this week. Don't worry about it, man. Brush it off. We all get very
chippy.
Yeah, we all get excited.
I'm going to keep hold on. I'm going to keep saying this. Texas, we love all you guys. Yes, it's passion. You want to win. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at anybody. The whole process, the portal process is going to be frustrating, though, because there's a 2-week window and it is a 200-meter sprint, and it feels like a 60-meter sprint at the beginning. But then as we all get used to this process, we're going to understand that, okay, that second week is really big too.
Exactly.
And I'll keep saying this, Texas fans, if any of y'all think y'all went over the edge, just go read a Kentucky basketball message board and you realize you are not. You're fine. You're looking over the Grand Canyon. Those people have one step over the ledge.
Hey, is Daniel Lovelace, is Zena officially back? Look, I don't know that he's signed to come back. I think he's agreed to terms. And we reported that on Friday. And I know he has told people allegedly that he is returning. I still don't know that he's signed. And there is a big difference in that. So not that I'm doubting anything he said at all. I'm just explaining the reason why we're reporting it the way we are reporting it currently. Clifton Hines, any Oregon Ole Miss players we got our eyes on? A couple of those players went into the portal today, at least from an Ole Miss, an offensive lineman go in, or said he went in. But I want to say this about this. One of the things that I've kind of resolved to, and I think Jerry is resolved to, after dealing with the Jaden Ball situation and even the Isaac Brown situation, just because somebody says they're going to go in doesn't mean they've actually been entered into the portal.
Yeah.
An Ole Miss offensive lineman is not even in the portal yet. So even though he said he's going in, and I know that Ole Miss is going to do everything in their, to keep him. So let's wait before we put the cart before the horse a little bit. But what are there players that could at Oregon and Ole Miss that could play for the University of Texas? Without question, at multiple positions. Are they going to go in the portal? Actually, that's the real question. And we will see. Even if a guy said that he's going in, again, until he's in anymore, it's not worth it. Perry Giles, great day to be a Longhorn. Hook 'em. Hey, this is a lot better January 11th of 2026 than January 11th of 2025. Y'all remember what we were doing on January 11th, 2025? We were watching Jack Sawyer. That game was on January 10th, 2025.
Man.
Very interesting, by the way. So Jack Sawyer is from Pickerington, Ohio.
Yeah.
He broke Texas's hearts, right, on January 10th, 2025. Rasheem Biles is from Pickerington, Ohio.
Yeah.
And he committed on January 10th, 2026. So here's the 2026 being a better year
Bobby, you brought up bad memories. I was what I was doing on the 11th was trying to toss swept it under the rug.
No,
Oh, wow.
we'll see. All right, Texas Horns 210. Hook 'em. It's hard not to be considered number one portal team thus far. Not diminished, finishing top 5 in the portal is solid. Throw out all these rankings in the portal, and I want to say why. Okay, different teams have different needs. I mean, Penn State right now, what do they have? 39 commitments.
He's doing well.
But my point is, how do you even compare that
Can't.
to what Texas is trying to do?
You can't.
Yeah. And so I worry about portal rankings, and I think that recruiting rankings, not the individual player rankings, but recruiting rankings for teams are going to be skewed from here going forward too, as college football morphs from recruiting as the lifeblood to maybe recruiting is part of it, but it may not be as big as the portal sometimes, depending on who and what you are.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely, the portal rankings, I probably pay less attention to that than any other ranking. Because when I look up and I see quarterbacks that have 20 touchdowns and 20 interceptions ranked ahead of a Rasheem Biles, I just don't think the ranking's good. Period. I mean, I understand the quarterbacks in rankings, but and then you see some guys that were ranked high in high school and they get ranked ahead of guys who have been there, done that for multiple years and been all conference players that maybe are transferring after a redshirt freshman year or something. And the portal rankings just don't make sense to me. They just don't make sense.
All right. Breaking news a little bit, although we expected it. We are going to mention it now. Christian Clark, according to Pete Nakos, one of the better reporters, if not the best reporter, as it relates to the transfer portal, saying that Christian Clark has officially entered the transfer portal. What that means is his name has now shown up on the transfer portal list, the official list. And Pete Nakos has access to that, I believe. So long story short, Christian Clark is officially entered into the transfer portal. Good luck to the young man out of Phoenix. Certainly gave it his all for Texas. Had a tough luck freshman year, tearing an Achilles. Came back, was a backup to Trey Wisner and C.J. Baxter this past season before having a big game against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, rushing for 100 yards and a touchdown, helping Texas to beat the Wolverines and finish 10-3 this year. Good luck to Christian Clark, his family, and his next stop. These guys are Longhorns forever, in my opinion. All right, this one from Warrior. Tech fans were so cocky about Cam Coleman. Now they don't have him or Isaiah Horton or Eric Singleton.
Yeah.
Singleton signed with Florida. Horton has committed to Texas A&M. And yes, here's my point, though. It wasn't just the Texas Tech fans that were cocky. Jerry and Rod, it was the Texas Tech director of player personnel, or GM, that was cocky.
I saw that.
I don't know if you saw these tweets that were going on, and turnabout is fair play, I guess. Just desserts. Jerry, what are you, Rod?
I just want to say this. If Cody Campbell was semi-running my program, I'd be cocky too if I'm a Tech fan. To be clear, because that guy had Tech in the playoffs, and nobody ever thought they would see that probably, right? So you have a reason, and they've been cleaning up, and they'll get other guys in the portal. So that's a reason to be cocky if you're a Tech fan. You should be, except when you have the ball in your own 20 and scored in the playoff game, then you don't be as cocky. But as far as players, adding players, there's a reason you should be. I mean, I jokingly called Cody Campbell Brad Wesley from the movie Roadhouse, but that doesn't mean I don't think that guy's doing a great job. So if I'm a Tech fan, I'm a little confident in where my program's going, and think, oh, this guy can win every recruitment. Because especially when he tweets, we're doubling down, we're more committed than ever. And he's proven that he is. You're still not going to win all of them. Texas doesn't win all of them. Cody Campbell doesn't win all of them. Nobody wins all of these.
Yep.
I just think the bravado was over the top. There's winning and winning the right way. I thought the bravado was over the top. Rod, your thoughts?
Well, I just think that I don't know. This is my guess is that kind of confirms the report, or at least the rumors that they had the highest offer. The beliefs that Tech had the highest offer, like money wise, and then maybe that's why they were so confident. Like, no, we got the best offer. Best offers on the table, money wise. But there's a lot of other, I think, things to consider in the sales pitch that obviously Cam Coleman picked Texas over what could be the highest offer. And I think a lot of people believe that Tech would have made the highest money offer on the table.
You got to go to, I don't necessarily know that's the truth, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that's
I know Jerry thinks it may be. I can't report that. I think that there were multiple factors in Texas's favor. Mm-hmm. I think that Arch Manning was a major one. I think Steve Sarkisian as a head coach was a major one. I think the players on the team connected with some of them. And I think playing in the SEC mattered to him.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big one at the end of the day.
All of those.
Yeah.
Part of
if you go back to his high school, Cam Coleman's high school recruitment, it was always about the SEC. Everybody has interest in Ohio State. It was really always about the SEC. And was he going to walk away from the SEC? Kids that grow up in Phoenix City, Alabama, those guys grew up watching the SEC dominate from when you're 9, 10 years old. That's a SEC lifer. So
they need to dominate some more. They haven't done so well the last 3 years now, going on not winning a championship. Texas Horns 210. Hook, I'm glad to have you back for one more year, Trevor Goosby. If you're just now joining us, we had Texas offensive lineman Trevor Goosby, who announced his return to Texas for the 2026 season. He's foregoing the NFL draft to return to the Longhorns. We had him on this show for a quick interview. Thank you very much, Trevor, for joining us. And I tell you what, he was a well-spoken guy and a good representative of the University of Texas, and also a representative of what you can do if you put your mind to it a little bit. He spoke often about some God-given gifts that he had, his athleticism, right? His size. But you don't go from 270 to 320 without discipline and work. Yeah. Because he looks good. You know what I mean by that? It's like there's some of that was built by him, and very happy for him. Dim Horns, heard Tech is signing players to multi-year deals. Yes, they are.
Yep.
We'll see what that looks like, though, and whether or not that pays dividends. For example, they signed recruit Felix Ojo to a multi-year deal. Not sure they're going to necessarily like that over the next couple of years. So we'll see how it goes. Jerry's got the sneezes over there, guys.
I just lost the rep. Sorry. Not against them.
Rod, KD35 said, Trevor, hardest guy you had to block against. You heard his list. Did any of those guys surprise you of who he mentioned? The Rhodes, the defensive end at Arkansas, Cassius Howell, he said was a speed guy.
Yeah, no, it was glad he started with the Georgia guys last year. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I broke down that Cassius Howell was kind of a speed guy, which kind of it does actually track with the scouting reports about him going into the draft, that they're concerned about whether he can be a power player and things of that nature. So, I mean, I just wanted to get his thoughts about who has impressed him. I mean, he's considered in a high level, potentially an elite left tackle, getting drafted in the first round, or at least in one of the high rounds there, first or second round. I just wanted to get his thoughts on, who has pushed him, right? Who did actually, in his mind, was considered an elite prospect. So he named off a few guys. To me, it really did point out that he faces probably on a week-to-week basis. That's going to be one guy that he's.
There's an NFL guy every week almost.
Pretty much in the SEC. Yeah, you can't avoid it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, this one from our friend Jeff C. Sark and his team got a whole bunch of rejections early on. They did. Mm-hmm. They have been relentless, and it's paying off. Who's next few players? We talked a little bit about this at the Open, waiting on the decisions of Wendell Gregory, defensive end, Big 12 freshman newcomer of the year at Oklahoma State this year. He's an edge player. Mikey Bennett, big offensive lineman from Yale, two-time All-Ivy League performer, as well as linebacker Cade Uluwave from Cal, all ACC linebacker, has also visited Michigan. We'll see what happens there. One thing I want to mention, a couple of guys did make decisions today. Dante Simpson, a big defensive lineman from Miami that came in and visited Texas I think it was Thursday, Friday, Jerry. Yeah. He announced that he's going to Missouri.
They didn't make a push there from a perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had 3 Longhorns. Jamie French goes to Michigan. And CJ Baxter, Kentucky. Jordan Washington, UNC today. So all the Texas guys are more than landing on their feet. I will say that.
Yeah, they're going to power programs. A lot of them. It's good.
Good luck to CJ Baxter. You know, that injury is such tough luck for him, man. Good luck to Jordan Washington. Always did his best. Jamie French, good luck. And also good luck to Christian Clark, who is officially in the transfer portal. Also, while we mentioned Trevor Goosby returning, I want to make sure everybody knows that Connor Robertson, the center for Texas, also announced his return. That means 3 offensive linemen for the Longhorns are returning starters. Robertson at center, and then both tackles, Goosby and Brandon Baker.
Levon Johnson back to Maryland. Yeah. Lands back on his feet where he began. By the way, somebody said, come on, French. Come on, French is a great player. I'm not making fun of French. It's a kind of an OTF thing with the 2 Fs in his first name for French. I'm a French fan. He just needs to lock in and go maximize his talent.
Yeah. MP Houston, thank you, Trevor. All right, we'll pass that along. Scooter Lannister, who are Trevor's top 5 big men in NBA history? Man,
I'll answer for him.
We should ask him. Yeah. That would have been a good question. Because I was asking about because I think when I asked him about the LeBron, he's got a hot take about LeBron MJ. I won't even spoil it for him, but he's got a hot take about that. I know we've got a discussion with Trevor about that before.
Chad, I'm just going to tell you MJ was better. I don't know what it is to take.
He's got a hot. I tell you, he'll get into it. He's a hooper. He'll get into it with you.
I know.
All right, this one down. Gift wraps. How soon did you know that we were the leader for Cam Coleman, Bobby? You know, I felt confident when Texas got the first visit. Those things matter. And when he told Texas and everybody else that he was going to take all 4 visits, but he lined them up in a certain order. And it was Texas, Texas A&M, then Tech, then Bama. I think that I didn't know for sure Texas was ever the leader, though. I want to be clear about that. I thought, and I was told from behind the scenes that Texas was all in and going as hard as they could. They felt like they had a great chance. There was some confidence, etc. But the leader, I don't necessarily think that Cam Coleman worked in that kind of vernacular, right? His agent doesn't really work that way. And so all I could tell y'all the whole way through was that Texas was going after him. And today they landed him. And that's all. The difference between portal and recruiting that we've got to get used to is that there's this elephant in the room called NIL.
Yep.
And so you could grow up loving one school over another, and all of a sudden one school is a half the number of another school, or twice the number of another. I mean, it just doesn't matter. And it's a mitigating factor that people have to pay attention to. So I would say I never knew Texas was the leader for Cam Coleman. Did I know something was happening about an hour before it happened? Yes. Even then, I couldn't tell you exactly where he was going to go. But I knew Texas was going to be one of the finalists. All right. Iola John, thanks for all the great coverage, guys. Appreciate your hard work. I want to say this. Earlier today, I was in the air while Rod Babers and Jeff Howe and Jerry Hamilton and guys had what'd y'all have, like a 2-hour live stream?
Marcus.
2 hours.
Marcus. Yeah. Oh, I forget. Marcus was on. I saw him a little bit too, as well. Yeah. I couldn't hear the live stream. I was watching it on Wi-Fi on a plane. Like at one time, I remember seeing Rod Babers and Marcus Myers with their helmets on together.
Yep, that was a lot. A lot.
Oh,
A lot of
I owe the afternoon live stream one of these. I didn't have it.
Lampshade, Jerry. Lampshade, Jerry. I love it.
I was at Starbucks so I did not.
He was out in public in front of the people. I remember people walking by and everything. Jerry was calm.
I think I turned some people that'll be in Longhorn fans on that live stream.
Outside of the O-line, Thomas Quinn, outside of the O-line, are we done on offense in the portal?
Unless somebody might pique your interest that jumps in, make a decision for you. But I think offensive line is where the focus is.
Yeah.
I think that offensive line is definitely the focus. What do y'all think about an experienced receiver? Now, I'm not talking about a frontline guy.
Just to fill in the circle of trust, basically. Because right now you definitely got three guys in it: Cam, Coleman, Ringo, and Mosley. And
yeah, probably McCutcheon.
McCutcheon. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Bishop, you think might be able to get there?
I think Bishop will definitely be in there.
Yeah. But an older guy that has some experience.
I'd lean to having to be somebody with a jetpack on.
Okay. Burner.
Because they were going after Trey Richardson as a take the top off the defense from the slot position, but he picked Louisville. That's the one guy who's supposed to be in this weekend and canceled that visit and committed to Louisville. So that kind of shows you where they were thinking for another need potentially.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder though if that guy's even going to be available late.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be Trey Richardson would be fairly expensive in NIL.
Yeah.
It's not going to even be that much.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I think they need somebody that's got sticky hands, route runner, that kind of stuff. All right. Rocky Poor, amazing job, OTF. How blessed we are that we get Kelvin Banks followed by Trevor Goosby. Also, thank you, Jerry, for putting in work at Portal Palace. That's our thread. Thank you, Rocky.
Those threads have been this way.
Portal Palace. I love it. That's great.
That's the new name, Rod. You've been over there a couple times.
Well done.
By the way, if you haven't subscribed to On Texas Football, please consider it. OTF.com. We have an introductory offer right now for folks. We've had more than 1,000 people join us in the last, I guess, 10 days. So thank you very much. Welcome to the community. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. You go to ontexasfootball.com. That's ontexasfootball.com. Right now we have a limited time offer, $1 for 1 month. $1 for 1 month. Usually it's $59.95 a year or $5.95 a month. So great offer there for folks that want to take advantage of it. Rocky is over there a little bit talking a little football. So, all right, Cube, by my count, we currently have 8 interior OL on the roster for next year. 2 high school recruits, the Oregon State transfer, Connor Robertson, and the rest of the returning guys. How do we feel? Is Nick Brooks an interior guy long-term for you, Jerry? Because he would be one of those 8.
I think it depends on kind of the spring for him and what Texas is thinking in terms of a backup to Goosby. I mean, because remember, Nick Brooks was originally the backup to Goosby. That's where they kind of had him pegged as the heir apparent to Trevor Goosby. One thing I do not do in the portal era, though, I'm not going to do it. I'm not giving up on young, talented players. I think Texas really likes their freshman class offensive linemen. Jordan Coleman, Devin Coleman, I saw these guys in high school. They are strong with road grading ability. Jackson Christian, very similar to Hayden Connor. Hayden Connor's in the NFL. So they like those guys. And one thing I'm not getting caught up in the portal, just portal. Those linemen have to be developed. You have to keep enough of those talented young players on the offensive line and develop. You have John Turntine coming in. He should get some time to gain the weight he needs. But for those that are worried about John Turntine's weight, he's a 620-pound squatter, 275 pounds. That's a ridiculous number. He is not coming in as a guy that necessarily needs to get a lot stronger. He's a great athlete. He just needs to add the weight to that frame. But I like the redshirt kids, Bobby, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go. There's some talent. There's a lot of talent in that group. I don't care where a couple of those guys were ranked. Remember where Trevor Goosby was ranked coming out of high school.
Well, this is a interesting question too. I mean, Texas may need. You think about it. Andre Kojo's coming off a really bad knee, or not a really bad, but an ACL.
Yeah.
Brandon Baker, kind of probably forced in an action a year early at his spot at tackle. Maybe Texas looks at a tackle in the portal. Maybe. I mean, I think it's going to be dependent on who's available, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very clear that they are going. I mean, every time I say all Big 10, all ACC, all Big 12, all on, Cam Coleman, top player in the portal. They're not swinging low right now. I mean, they're trying to hit. Jerry made the analogy. They're trying, or Rod, I can't remember which one. They've hit some long flyouts to the
Jerry
track.
Mm-hmm.
They've hit a couple home runs now. They're still trying to hit home runs, I think, on offensive line. Let's see if they can do that. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Andrew Dillon, is there a possibility of getting a better all-around tight end for 2026? Sark's offense seems to be running on all cylinders when he has a dynamic tight end, aka Sanders Helm. Look, I could be wrong, but Rod, Nick Townsend, in your opinion, you think he fills that role potentially in 2026?
I feel like your issue with tight end, which has kind of been the issue for him, is that you never feel like you have a great all-around five-tool guy. You feel like you either got a really good receiving tight end and a really good blocking tight end. And that the tight ends, either they excel in one of those things, but never excel in both. And I think if you look at the tight end that is close to being both of those for you right now, I feel like it is Nick Townsend. In terms of a guy that can be a high-level blocker for you, physical blocker for you, and also be a threat in the passing game. Now, once again, this is one of those Cam Coleman things. Once again, he's going to help the tight end position, because if you're building a defensive game plan, you're taking away certain elements and assets of the Texas offense, tight end's going to be way down the list now. So tight end should get lots of favorable matchups and schematic advantages, and Sark loves his tight end. So, I think whoever the tight end ends up being, I think it is going to be Nick Townsend likely here as the featured tight end, like the Helm of 2 years ago, and what with Jack injuries last year, and JT7 2 years ago. I feel like it's Nick Townsend. I feel like late in the season we saw how much they like him, looking at how much his snaps increased.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I don't think, by the way, only thing I would add, my apology, I need to add something. I don't think Texas is going after another tight end in the portal.
No.
Michael Masunis, the tight end out of Michigan State, is that inline blocking tight end. I think he and Spencer Shannon are the two guys for that for Texas in 2026 as of right now. Jake Morose, who are the top 5 OL on the portal board for us? Don't have that list for you right now, man. And if I did, look, one of the things that people need to understand is that other than Mikey Bennett, who Texas has brought in for a visit, I don't know that they're going on anybody. Joe Bruner, offensive lineman out of Wisconsin, has visited Indiana. Texas talked to him, but Texas hasn't set up a visit with him.
Yeah, I think he's staying Midwest.
And so I was going to say this. Top 5 OL on the board, I don't know that they have a quote-unquote top 5. They have some guys that they're thinking about, but I don't know that they've decided to really push. And I will say this, until Thursday when they can get them back on campus, because the next 3 days there are no campus visits because it's a recruiting dead period.
That makes sense.
We may not really know that for a couple days. Might know it behind the scenes, but publicly might not know it. Scott M, 68. With Cruz gone, who's the backup center? Jerry, you got a thought there?
Well, when Devin Coleman was recruited out of Cedar Hill, he was recruited as a center or guard. So let's see who works there in spring ball. That will be interesting to see. Jackson Christian, I believe, even took some light reps. These guys, a lot of those guards take some reps. We'll see where that goes in spring practice. I think Nicholas Robertson coming in there's a decent chance that he takes a lot of center reps during his redshirt year.
All right. This one is from Jeff Kittle. Jeff, I don't see a question here with you. If you do have one, please let us know. Matt, our producer, will help us out. Tim and CISO, I think Sark saw the shift to smaller rosters and emphasis on experienced players, impact freshmen, and decided that Muschamp allowed him to maximize practice coaching while keeping players ready for the long season. Chess, you think that – I do think that Muschamp's hire played into his long-term thinking. I don't necessarily think it played into the idea of a smaller roster. Maybe more aggressive coaching and use of pass rush, I think was the bigger piece, Tim. I hear what you're saying, but that's –
yeah.
So, Rod, football's the ultimate copycat sport.
Mm-hmm.
When Kirk Cignetti got in front of the mic and said, we do 90-minute practices and get everything done we need to and make sure our players are rested and our coaches are rested and fresh, watch how many people start to copy that now. It's a copycat. It's evolving.
Well, not only that, Jerry, to piggyback on that, now everybody is paying attention to the age, right, thing that seems like Indiana has focused on also getting more experienced players, older players, right? Their offense is averaging almost, I think starters almost average 22 is their average age almost. So that has also been something people have noticed, and they should, because I think with the transfer portal and with so much turnover and you want instant impact guys, veterans offer you a little bit of a cheat code because you don't have to break it down and teach the guys the game conceptually. They understand it. They get the game conceptually. They played a lot of football. They've had a lot of reps. They've built up the armor already. So you ain't got to worry about strength and conditioning. Like, they come ready made. And if you can just teach them your scheme, then they're ready to go. And I think that's also something Cignetti has figured out too. So you're right. I think they're doing more and more, because this is a new structure of college sports. More and more teams are going to figure out the loopholes and the cheat codes to this thing. Cignetti definitely was ahead of the curve. Ain't no doubt about that.
All right. Next question here comes from our friend Todd Lacey. Does the culture under Sark change in this new era of recruiting when you see 20-plus players leave? How does the message evolve? I tell you what, that may be a great question when Sark hits the podium, right? I mean, this is a totally new era. They're going to turn over 45 players this year to 50. That's more than half your roster. If you include all the guys that are leaving to go pro and or graduating, you include all the portal guys and all your signees, 40 plus new players.
Look, I think this is the toughest thing in college sports. I college air quotes because it's not really college athletics anymore, but is a lot of your top players it's getting out how much they're getting from an NIL perspective, guys. Keeping your locker room together. These aren't pros. These are kids that they're not technically pro age yet, really. Some of these kids, when they're 18, they're leaving the parents' house for the first time. They're developing young adults. I think this is the toughest thing going in football and basketball or college sports in general, is how do you keep those locker rooms tight-knit, playing for a cause, when there can be jealousy and things of that sort with how much money some guys are making versus some others. And when you're a pro on an NFL team, you're a little more seasoned to all of that. In college, this is all happening really at warp speed right now. I think that's the toughest task college coaches have.
You mentioned all those guys moving in, Rod. Today was move-in day for the freshmen.
Yeah.
That came in at midterm.
Nice.
I gotta ask you a question about this. What's your very first memory of moving into the University of Texas? Y'all lived in Jester back in the day. What was your very first memory of that?
It's got to be the Chris Sims moving in with the limo.
I knew you were going there.
These days, that would be no big deal. Now you can look outside of Jester. Now there are Lamborghinis and Ferraris. If you walked outside of Jester lately, like, who the hell owns these cars? Like my wife was like, who owns these cars? Like, that's the football players, but that's got to be. I say nobody else can football or basketball. Nobody else on campus can afford Lambos and Ferraris and Mercedes, and they're all like parked out there. Half of them illegally because they don't care about tickets no more either. So it was for Sims to have the limo to drop him off. By the way, there was like a misunderstanding at the time. Like his parents thought they were booking him just like a regular like moving van, and turns out ended up being a limo, of course. So just aligns with the narrative. Oh, silver spoon, this kid, he just spoiled everything coming over the limo, and that was the case. But I do remember the limo pulling up to to move Sims into just. I'm like, bro, you just getting you ain't doing yourself no favors right now at all. But I do remember it. That's kind of the memory that stood out to me. I was like, oh, this is different. This is different right now. Yeah.
They didn't do that at Lamar High School, Rod?
No. That's before NIL. That was our NIL right there. That was Sims was our NIL, and that was our revenue sharing.
DC Mala and Kaboom. How are the new running backs in pass protection? I got to be honest, I didn't watch them. We have to protect Arch. He is him, keeping the faith for more OL hope. Great show as always, boys. Jerry, today was like joy mode for Longhorn Nation. Rod, did you get a chance to see him pass protect either Hollywood Smothers or Relief Brown?
I have not. I do plan on going to watch actual like games, like entire games of these guys. And Cam Coleman too. I've started watching film of him like in the red zone and stuff. So I will go back, but I assume that's not why you necessarily that was not an asset. That's not why you brought them in, but it could be added value if they're great in pass protection. So I'll go back and check it out. No doubt. Right now, I can't tell you which one of those guys would be a better player in pass pro. I assume they're both adequate and competent.
They've both seen the MIGs fly by him in pass pro now for multiple years in college football. So the one thing they are is experienced in what their eyes have seen and what they've had to react to.
Yeah. If you try,
everybody's getting those guys confused with Cedric Baxter as a pass pro guy there when he walks.
Yes, yeah. I assume the advantage will be those guys will be out on routes a lot more.
Yes.
Like I said, they'll remind you of Jaden Blue and Trey Wiseman back. Remember, both of those guys were top 10 in the country. Both of them. You had two running backs in the top 10 in targets that year. And a lot of that ended up being your pass pro because I can't put extra numbers in pressure packages because I got to devote extra numbers to making sure I got these running backs covered out of the backfield because they actually put those guys, put five receivers out on routes when they can. So I think that's kind of how it's kind of a built-in, fail safe in pass pro, if you will, is baked into the game plan that you get those guys out on routes as much as possible.
DC, thank you for the super chat. Before we go any further, I want to say thank you once again to our sponsor, RogueShop.com. Rogue Shop is bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Make sure you use promo code ONTEXAS for a special discount. The Rogue Shop has it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. Again, that's RogueShop.com. They ship nationwide. Use code ONTEXAS for a special discount. Again, RogueShop.com. Thanks for sponsoring our Sunday night live stream. This one from MJF. Question for us, guys. Once the portal closes, why not fill out the roster to 105 with cheap older guys from smaller teams? Can that be done at the cost of a one-year scholarship? Yes, it could. Is that what's best for the program, or do you keep it a tighter group? I think this is going to be tested. This year. And I'm trying to be thoughtful in my process here. I don't know if Texas is going to get up to 105. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
But MJF, I don't have the answer. And I may not think that Texas necessarily knows it right now either. Probably have an inkling of which way we want to go. Any surprises tonight, Jeff Kittle? I don't know if they would be surprises. We're waiting on potential decisions from Wendell Gregory, the defensive end from Oklahoma State, Cade Uluwave, the linebacker from Cal, as well as Mikey Bennett, the offensive lineman from Yale. I don't know if any of those guys made a decision tonight, it would not surprise me. I do think there's one in that group that may be leaning to Texas more than the other. If that helps you. Michael Williams, do you think last year's portal mishap change Sark's portal strategy, or is this year an isolated incident? I don't push for full overhauls yearly, but at least fix vulnerabilities. I do think it did. I think it strengthened Sark's resolve to make decisions based on not just delegating those decisions to others. Really looking at the whole. And I think that it's what it is. I think they had to learn. Make a mistake, you learn sometimes.
Well, and I think this year's portal is going to lead to a different strategy next year a little bit too. All this is changing. This year, Texas went after a lot of guys that had coaching changes. And those proved to be the toughest ones to actually win. So that is where the portal changed. And I was having this discussion with a college coach, not on the Texas staff, over the weekend, that a lot of people have taken notice of how tough those are to win now in this cycle. Because, look, you had 2 Michigan guys, both returned. They both went to meet with Kyle Whittingham. They're still attached to their teammates at Michigan. They chose to return. Jaden Baugh stayed at Florida. Dallas Wilson, who Texas wouldn't have been involved with, a lot of people were hoping he was going to the portal, stayed at Michigan. There's numerous other
Jaden Woods,
Jaden Woods, stud, went back to Florida. So you can go through this portal list of rankings, and you can see numerous guys through the coaching changes. So I think that is something that colleges are going to look at next year and say, where do we try to hit our home runs? Because the coaching changes weren't too the end result wasn't exactly what colleges thought it was going to be this year.
Cody Coleman must have gotten a deep whiff of the feedlots in Lubbock. Says, truth to that, a little ammonium in the air.
I think anything smells good when you got $6 billion.
That's true. But still a smell. It's still a smell.
Yes, it still smells. Is there another Coleman Biles talent level player that might enter the portal or already in that y'all see us going after? Also hope Justice develops into a star. Justice Terry, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. Look, I don't think there's another one of that level that's already in the portal that Texas is after. Could one go in that is at that level? Maybe not Coleman, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Certainly, we've got a full week, Monday through Friday, for guys to go into the portal. Maybe that starts as soon as tomorrow. We'll be here for it, checking on that. As far as Justice Terry, I think we're all on the same page with you there. Hope he does. I think he's just now, in late in the season, getting used to the speed of the college game. You've got to realize he came from small school Georgia. He wasn't a big 5A or 6A player, but I think he got used to the speed of the game later. Justin Yarbrough, great day for us today. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, still have holes to fill and hits to retain. I talked to someone in that vein earlier today and said, we ain't done.
Yeah. Can't be.
So, Rod, that's what we want to hear, right? If you're a Texas fan.
All in, baby.
Yeah. All right. Cade Dubtrue, do you guys think making the college football playoff will put teams in a disadvantage in the future, or will there be a change in the portal timeline? Hey, it hurt Texas last year, we think. I mean, I think we all think it hurt Texas a little bit. Maybe it hurt Texas Tech this year. Is that possible?
I think it's hurting Miami.
They didn't feel like their guns were loaded the same way. I'll put it that way.
I think it's hurting Miami right now, honestly.
Oh, in the portal. What do you think, Rod?
Not hurting Indiana, is it?
Yeah, they're not going after those big super swing guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
They're going after value.
Yep.
They're value proposition guys that they hope that then they get lightning in a bottle like Fernando.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I don't think because of the timeline, everything. It's weird because I do think, like Jerry said, it's gonna. I wonder if it changes every year or if this is the new norm where you're churning out 40% of your roster every year at the bottom.
50.
Basically, the bottom half of your roster every year is not even worth investing in because you're going to churn it out anyway. And I just wonder if that's going to be the new normal, how our teams are going to adapt to that. And that's definitely going to hurt the college football playoff teams in the future. But it's like they're losing fewer guys. Like I haven't looked at all of them, but they don't lose as many. Maybe that's going to change once they're all officially out. Maybe we'll see an exodus of talent from Oregon guys, and maybe we'll see that. But I haven't seen it yet. Ole Miss, is Ole Miss lost a lot? Have they lost 20-something too?
They've lost a few apparently. I don't know if all of them went into the portal.
So I wonder how that's going to work out too. Will they lose as much as it seems like everybody else is losing right now in terms of high-level starters and the bottom of your roster churning out? Or is there a different, significance and with guys who are making it deeper into the playoffs? Like Texas wasn't losing a lot of guys like this either when they were going deep into the playoffs. They weren't losing starters. And they didn't get to the playoffs. Now they're losing like 4 or 5 starters. Is that just the timing of it? Or is it just something about when you go deep into the playoffs, there's a different type of mentality with the players and your retention efforts are more successful? I don't know. It's all brand new.
I'll tell you this, Mike.
Got to get through these real quick. We got about 10 more super chats here before we close out, guys. Are they targeting starters at OL or just depth? They are not targeting just depth. They are targeting guys that either can be or will be starters or can compete for starters.
Yep.
That is absolute. Kabir, are we done at wide receiver at portal? I answered this question a little bit. The answer is perhaps, but they could take a guy late that is just a more of a solid guy that's late, that not a high-end guy at this point. Tombstone 732. Which Texas exports will you guys miss covering the most? Trey Wisner for me, personally. I liked Parker Livingston.
Cedric Baxter was fun too.
Yeah.
Interviewed him a couple times.
Cedric Baxter was a great leader.
He was. He's a good player. Good guy. Good man. Yeah.
But there's several. I mean, that's part of the thing with college football today. You're not necessarily losing guys because, like used to when kids transferred, oh, well, he's a bad kid.
Yeah.
Or he just didn't fit in. Those were the comments, the generalizations you would hear. That's not the case anymore. Now it could be financial. It could be, his path is blocked by somebody better.
Yep.
Rod Baber's helmet. Did Texas trim the roster in the sense that they're only going to pay top players in the portal and big money to top recruits moving forward? They certainly are trimming in that respect. You can see it before there are. We witnessed it during recruiting season, Jerry.
Yep.
They pulled back a little and just went.
It's going to be interesting to look back at this as it takes form. Because there will be some seasons, if you go to smaller roster where the injury bug really hits you and you can't overcome it. Because that is going to be part of this. It's not going to be like pro sports where you just go to the waiver wire and bring in a running back if you got 3 hurt. You are screwed.
That's why you take Jet Walker. Yeah. All right, can Derek Cooper be an early down running back as a freshman? I think so. I mean, he's got 2 all-conference guys to beat out. But, I mean, look, I think in recruiting, you're going to take guys that you think, and you're going to probably pay them that you think are first-rounders. Derek Cooper is one of those guys for Texas. So they wouldn't have done that unless they think he can be a guy. That doesn't mean they're going to just leave it to whim and hope, though. They're going to go out and recruit others to join him. But I think he's very talented. When does Cam Coleman move to Texas? Juan Garza, he's signed with Texas.
ASAP.
This isn't just he committed, by the way.
Yeah.
But a lot of people moved in today. Jerry,
Freshmen moved in today, yesterday. I guess their official movement was today. They got to Austin yesterday, a lot of them. But classes begin, the 16th?
Sounds right.
So in the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they start whatever Thursday is.
Yeah.
So 15th. Yeah. Could be wrong. Ace.com portal thus far has mirrored Arch's season. This is funny. Slow start, panic mode, but look at how we finished. Trust the process. I want to say
right.
this is not finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the analogy's good. I just don't think Texas is finished.
Oh,
I'm
No,
telling
they
you,
still have needs.
that's what I was told.
They still have needs.
J-Dog, the boss, which NFL teams would y'all like to see our first rounders next year? I'll let Rod take this. He's more of a pro football fan than me. Where do you want to see them all, Rod?
Oh man, that sucks actually. Because they're gonna be going to bad teams. Some of these guys being top 15 picks. So I'm trying to think. You got a lot of good teams that are outside the play. I got to take some time on that one, honestly.
Don't you want Arch to go to the Saints?
No.
Oh, at home? Oh, I got to think about the offensive staff
Saints.
there. Ugh.
Or wherever Harbaugh is. John, not Jim.
Where Harbaugh's going? That's a great
point.
Not
John, not Jim.
I know, but I don't know where John's going to. That's a great point, though. He won't be out of work next season. That's for damn sure.
Arch to the Raiders with Tom Brady as a co-owner.
Yeah, but I'm worried about the offense that Arch is going to play in. I don't care about the location. I want the offense to be good and then to have a good play caller. Arch to Atlanta. That's not bad because he's got a running game with Bijan. But I don't know. Atlanta might be too good. Arch is going to go early, guys. He's going in top 3 picks.
Some people say he could go be 1-1 this
year. He might be, Dan Orlovsky said it'll be 1-1 overall. So who's going to have the top pick? Because they're going to take Arch.
By the way, I'm just going to
Browns.
I think Dan Orlovsky's wrong, but I get it.
Who would go ahead of Arch right now?
Bobby, there's
Fernando Mendoza.
There's not enough there yet. By next year, I think there's a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
I disagree with Jerry, but that's all right. Rocky Ford peeking behind the curtain.
Half of the year that would factor into that.
Oh, I think the first half of the year he wouldn't have been there. Last half he was the best quarterback in football, other than maybe Fernando Mendoza. My opinion.
I agree with that.
Peeking behind the curtain, he's definitely better than Dante Moore. Peeking behind the curtain, Bobby and Jerry, what percentage of info do y'all actually get to let out?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Jerry, you ever thought about that?
Yeah. What do you get to people? 50% of what you guys actually know or hear?
Things move too fast for me to even think about that.
It's true.
I want to know the answer. That's a good question.
I don't remember Tuesday at all. From this week.
Oh yeah, this is different though. The portal madness is a little different than y'all's usual stuff. Portal madness.
It is.
This is like crazy recruiting, right? This is like as crazy as recruiting would have ever gotten.
This is Jerry and I have talked about this. We feel like it's more like recruiting back in like the 90s and 2000s before Twitter, where everybody broke their now everybody back when people started breaking all their news on Twitter for commitments and stuff, kind of took a little bit of the fun of being a reporter out of it. You just waited for the guy to announce. Mm-hmm. Now there's all this innuendo about who they're even recruiting. It's back to when there used to be just that singular signing day, Jerry, the first Wednesday in February.
Yeah.
Now it's back to being a little bit more fun, frankly, for me. McBooker Balls 512. Always laugh at that one. Arch have enough respect and seniority to get the team together for spring and summer workouts outside of school to build continuity with newer players and whole team like VY did in 05. Got to do that with the receivers, man.
Mm-hmm.
Heading into 26. I agree with you there. Does Texas go for another wide receiver? Is Lockett going to step up and see more snaps? I think he's definitely part of the plan. Like last year, they knew early he probably wasn't going to be there yet by time of the season. Got some time late this year. I think they're looking for a step up. I could see them, though, like I said, going late for a veteran receiver just to make sure they're not, down way too far. Uh-oh, Jerry. This is from Rodney Smith. Where do I get one of those corn dog hats, Jerry?
That's Bourbon Leather is the company. Bourbon Leather. I may wear that hat tomorrow morning. Bourbon Leather.
All right, we'll end with this one just to make fun of me. Imagine in Bobby's day, they committed using Morse code.
Tap it in, man.
Hey, Jerry and Rod, that's going to do it for tonight's live stream. Jerry and Rod, you guys perform yeoman of work today. I mean, seriously, great bringing. Thank you all for bringing all that. Thank you also to Marcus Myers, as well as Jeff Howe, bringing all of this to everybody today. If I'm missing somebody, my apologies as well. And I also want to mention our friend behind the scenes, Matt Hutchison. Matt, you've been awesome carrying this out. And it's been a great day for the University of Texas. Texas gets 2 commitments. Cam Coleman, just to sum up, the wide receiver from Auburn. Running back Hollywood Smithers, first-team All-ACC from North Carolina State. Also, Trevor Goosby, who was on the show earlier tonight, returns for another season. Young man, left tackle out of Melissa, that was first-team All-SEC this year, as well as Connor Robertson, who stepped into a starting role midway through the 2025 season for the Longhorns at center, is returning. Christian Clark has entered the transfer portal. All right. That is going to do it for tonight's On Texas Football's live stream. Thanks again to you guys for coming out and hanging out. Big day for the Longhorns. Y'all have a good one. Have a good night. Let's have a good week ahead. Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.